Have you ever been falsely accused? Today is Monday, March 30th, the 5th week of Lent. Aside from the Passion accounts of Palm Sunday and Good Friday, today's first reading from Daniel chapter 13 is the longest reading of the Lenten season, and it concerns false accusation. Have you ever been falsely accused? If so, you know it as a helpless feeling, and you wonder, how am I going to get out of this? Perhaps the false accusation came from us already having a reputation of not being thoroughly honest, maybe a little bit greedy, so it's easy to blame us for something. Perhaps it comes from a family rivalry, or just an outright lie of somebody trying to dump blame on us and avoid it for themselves. In today's first reading, Daniel chapter 13, we have the story of the young beautiful bride Susanna, two elders of the community who would falsely accuse her, and young prophet Daniel, who was sent by God to save her. Susanna, young beautiful bride, liked to take walks in her garden, and unknown to her, a couple of these elders who were judges of the community liked to peep at her. This is what we have from the scripture account. When the old men saw her enter every day for her walk, they began to lust for her. They suppressed their consciences, meaning they put aside their sense of right and wrong when they were there. And they would not allow their eyes to look up to heaven. And that was a sign they felt guilty and they knew they were guilty for what they were doing. And they did not keep in mind just judgments. Catholic teaching states that lust clouds the mind, and lust distorts our sense of judgment. These judges cornered the young Susanna and said, "If you don't give us what we want, we will falsely accuse you of having an affair with a young man in this garden." Susanna said, "I'm trapped," and she screamed. And the two elders also started yelling. And the people of community gathered about to see what was happening. And that's when the elders fulfilled their plot. And they said, "This young woman, we caught her in the act of adultery." What did Susanna do in this situation? Those judges had the power and the authority in the community. So she turned to the only power that was higher than them. She prayed to God, and God sent her help. God sent her help in the form of prophet Daniel. And Daniel used a tactic that lawyers use. He got these two witnesses who were making these accusations and questioned them separately and said, "What tree did you see Susanna have her affair under?" And they each answered a different type of tree. And the prophet Daniel said, "Your own testimony condemns you. Your lies will cost you your head, and the angel of God will make an end to you." And by their own testimony, they were condemned, and Susanna was freed. So, how was Susanna saved ultimately? Here are some lessons. She prayed. The judges, remember, did not look up to heaven when they were doing what they were doing in the garden. And that's what we do when we sin. We turn to something else other than heaven. Susanna turned toward God for help. The judges turned away to pursue their sin. That's number one. Number two, God sent her help. A virtuous man can save a virtuous woman. And it has to do with being good. Being a good person makes us more capable of doing good when the time comes for us to be of service. And then finally, the truth set her free. That's what Jesus said, John 8:31. Know the truth, and the truth was what set, in this case, Susanna free. And so, no matter what the bad situation is, even if it's some severe false accusation, know that there's always a way to be saved when we turn our eyes to heaven and ask God for help.